Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fourth episode of Ladies Gun Show. Gun rights are women's rights, and today our guest is Barbara Rumple. In this episode of Ladies Gun Show, we're going to be discussing the role of women in the fight to preserve our Second Amendment rights. Our guest today, Barbara, is currently running for a seat on the NRA Board of Directors. We're going to talk about her role with the NRA, and in particular, the role of the NRA women and women's groups in opposition to the Bloomberg-backed women's group Moms Demand Action and Everytown for Gun Rights. I think I said that right.
Everytown USA.
Everytown USA. Thank you for that. Didn't sound right. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the how the NRA women and women's groups are going to be able to help us with that because both of those groups are trying to strip us of our rights. Gun rights are women's rights, and we need to clearly curb the direction the battle is going in order to protect every citizen in this country. Our fight is not about politics, but about the safety and security of our families. Of course, we're going to lead in here with our legal disclaimer. Just want to let you know that we're going to touch on a lot of legal issues in this episode. And unless otherwise stated, we want it to be clear that we are not attorneys. We will discuss our observations and impressions and opinions in the show. We encourage you to seek your own legal advice from a bona fide attorney who specializes in gun laws. If you have your firearm insurance with U.S. Law Shield, you have access to top firearm attorneys with offices in your area. So we're going to go to a quick break. We're going to pay a couple bills, and we're going to be coming back here and talking with Barbara Rumple. So stay tuned. U.S. Law Shield is a legal defense membership program, the largest, most comprehensive coverage to protect your Second Amendment rights. Whether you use a gun or not, any legal weapon is covered. For $10.95 a month, all your attorney's fees are covered. There are no caps, no limits, no retainer, and U.S. Law Shield is not a reimbursement plan. U.S. Law Shield covers criminal and civil legal defense 24/7, 365 days a year, emergency attorney answered hotline. We at Femme
Fatale Arms and Training focuses on meeting the needs of women and men who are either new to guns or looking to get more involved in both defensive and recreational shooting. Our goal is to provide a non-judgmental environment where you can learn to safely handle firearms and defend yourself effectively. We offer free counseling on the selection of a firearm that suits a client's needs and abilities and carry a range of small firearms that are easy to handle. Femme Fatale's training is designed to take you from zero to badass with a full curriculum of classes that starts off with the basics and develops your skills and techniques in a very prescribed manner that will build your confidence and capabilities. Our instructors are highly experienced with backgrounds in law enforcement and the military, but with a non-intimidating and support approach. Come see us for all of your firearms and training needs. Femme Fatale Arms and Training, a ladies' gun store. Learn more at ladiesgunstore.com.
Hi, and welcome back. So here I am with Barbara Rumple. And Barbara, I want to just read a quick bio because I want everybody to know just what kind of woman you are, how involved you are in preserving the Second Amendment rights of women and men everywhere. Barbara is a tireless leader and mentor in the NRA Women's Leadership Forum and serves on their executive committee. She is serving her second term as trustee of the NRA Foundation and serves on the NRA Whittington Center Board of Trustees. She loves to shoot anything that goes bang, ooh, my kind of woman, and She's been a concealed carry permit since the 1980s in New York and in Florida. And I know getting a concealed carry permit in New York is nothing easy, is it, Barbara? She is a hunter, sporting clays enthusiast, range safety officer, and completed NRA Women's Wilderness Escape, the gun sight 250 and 3-gun and long distance. So you've shot a variety of pistols and rifles competitively and in hunting. She's also the DC project representative for Florida and New Mexico. She believes in the Second Amendment that is truly the America's first freedom, protecting all of the others. She's been married to John for 42 years, sharing their love of freedom, the Second Amendment, and the shooting sports. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you, Maria.
So, Barbara, can you speak on behalf of the NRA because you are so involved? And can you tell us the role of the NRA in the fight to preserve our Second Amendment? And you're joining the NRA Board of Directors and what you would accomplish or hope to accomplish in this role on the NRA Board.
Going on to the NRA Board is going to be very important to me to promote women in shooting. I mean, we all know that women now are the fastest growing segment of the shooting sports.
Yeah.
And it's important that we have our voice at the NRA to show that it's not just the old boys club anymore.
Oh, I agree with that.
The NRA is changing. One of the things I love about being on the foundation board is that we have so many women's programs and programs applicable to women that we promote across this country. The Eddie Eagle program is something that Marianne Hammer started years ago to promote gun safety for kids, to teach kids to say, if you see a gun, stop, leave, don't touch it, leave the room, tell an adult. And that message has been coming across to hundreds of thousands of kids. Eddie Eagle is a great program.
We actually offer that at Femme Fatale Arms. Once a month, we have an Eddie Eagle class for the kids. So it's a great program, and we see children of all ages, and we make the parents kind of sit through it too, just so they know what the kids are learning. But I really back that program.
Of course, Women on Target is national at many, many gun clubs all across, including right here at our own Port Malabar. It's a way to get women started to safely learn how to shoot and can cover many, many topics.
Oh, that's
again,
great.
That is funded through the foundation.
Okay. So what other things are available in this area? What other things can women do in order to start supporting the NRA and actually being able to support their own gun rights, the Second Amendment?
Well, as a member of the Women's Leadership Forum, we do our best to promote women in shooting and to raise money for various programs with the NRA. One of the other programs that I'm very excited about is NRA School Shield. It was founded right after Sandy Hook and is a comprehensive training program to teach school resource officers, police, teachers, how to evaluate the schools, that they can. We held a training here in Brevard County in June. It was the first one in Florida. Of course, Sheriff Wayne Ivey was instrumental in that.
Wow.
They held a week-long training with all kinds of police officers, school officials. Now they can go into the schools and evaluate all kinds of various safety aspects. It's not just about having resource officers in the school carrying guns or teachers carrying guns.
Okay.
It's about looking at the entrances and exits and cameras and windows and everything possible, and PA systems, everything possible to keep a school secure and safe from all kinds of threats, not just an active shooter.
Is there a component in this program at all that helps to educate the teachers and to help the teachers to possibly shield the children or what to do with the children should an active shooter be in the school?
That's all part of the program, and it's all about the training. And now the training we offer free to any school that wants it or any group of schools that wants it. There's also through the foundation, through the local Florida foundation boards, there's funds available to help implement that stuff.
So do you know if many schools around Florida are actually taking advantage of this program?
Brevard was the first in Florida to start taking advantage of it.
Now, what really gets me is you hear a whole lot of negativity. This is a great program. It's backed by the NRA. It's helping make our schools safer, yet this is the first time I've heard anything about this, and I'm betting that a lot of our listeners, this is going to be their first time hearing about this too. Why isn't this being shared as much as the negativity? Because this is an outstanding program from what you're describing.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole perception of the NRA is that it's all about politics and political stuff, but it's really not. It really is about teaching freedom and keeping people safe and keeping the shooting sport safe.
Okay, I got another question for you because you seem to have you have great answers. So this NRA School Shield program, is it limited specifically to schools only, or could churches or churches that have schools in them, would either one of those be would these people be able to apply for this program and get this kind of critical training in?
Certainly church schools and private schools can apply for the training.
And is NRA doing anything to outreach to these people to say, hey, we've got this program, do you want to take advantage of it? Is there anything going on?
Of course, it's on their website, and there is a separate website for the NRA School Shield.
Okay, so what we're going to do, everybody who's listening to this, we're going to make sure that we have this link on our webpage, ladiesgunshow.com. We're also going to put it on our Facebook page, but go straight to our website, ladiesgunshow.com, and we're going to make sure this NRA School Shield program, a link to this program is going to be on our page, and we're going to make sure that you're able to take advantage of this because this is something that really needs to be widespread. This is really good. And Richard, you're sitting here quietly.
No,
Do you have any questions about this? I think this program sounds wonderful.
Definitely. And the women's programs you mentioned, there are several women's programs as well. What types of programs do they have available that people can start taking advantage of? I know you talked about Women on Target, but I'm sure there's more there as well.
Well, one of my favorites is Women's Wilderness Escape.
Ooh.
Which is a blast. The program started 11 years ago. I went to my first program in 2010, so 10 years ago, at the NRA Whittington Center in the metropolis of Raton, New Mexico. Now, the Whittington Center is 23,000 acres of shooting heaven.
Oh, my goodness.
They have every range possible, several sporting clays runs, all kinds of shotgun, five stand skeet, and trap. They recently added a number of trap ranges so that they can hold regional, statewide and regional competitions there. Nice. Plus any kind of rifle and pistol and black powder shooting ranges.
So do they dedicate this range to women only during this escape period, or is this range always a woman's escape? Tell me it's always a woman's escape.
And for me, it's my favorite escape.
Sure.
We spent years, once I went with my girlfriend. The next year we had to bring my husband back to the Whittington Center, and we've gone back every year since then.
Wow.
It's such a beautiful setting in the foothills of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. There's all kinds of hunting opportunities during season if you get lucky enough to draw a tag, but just walking or driving around the Whittington Center, there's mule deer and pronghorn and jackrabbits and turkey and bears and mountain lions and elk.
Wow. Well, I have to put a little disclaimer in here. I'm not a hunter, but I would totally have my camera out to take pictures of those animals.
Well, I didn't actually start it. Yeah, I thought 65 was a good time to start hunting.
Wow. Okay.
I started, my first big hunt was with a group of women at a hunting ranch in Colorado that my girlfriend owned. Every single one of us got an elk.
Wow. Unbelievable. Well, I don't.
And of
Good
course,
for you.
and of course, the next year we had to take our husbands back.
Of course.
Oh yeah. Wait a
feeling
minute.
left out.
They can't be outdone, right?
So in this wilderness program, what other things do you do? I'm thinking about we need to get somebody in there. And
Who, me?
It was too long when I first went, but I spent 9 days with 90 women shooting everything.
nice.
Oh, wow.
There was rifle shot, just a day of rifle, of shotgun, of black powder, of pistol, of archery. Got to shoot a fully automatic. Got to shoot a sniper rifle
Fun.
at the white buffalo target at 1,123 yards.
Nice.
Wow. That's a long ways away. Let's see, 11. Go ahead. Do the math, Richard. How many feet is that?
No. We're going to keep going.
Oh, okay. It's a long distance.
It's a long distance. So it's an introduction to all the different shooting sports. It's shortened. 9 days was too long. 90 women was too much. So now it's been shortened, and there's not as many women, so you get more trigger time.
Excellent.
Okay, so what is it now?
Right now it's about 5 days. I'm not sure what dates they've set for this year, but they've added to the program to do some other long weekends.
I like the long weekend idea.
Doing some shotgun shooting, doing some hunting. There's also up at the SIG Academy. They've got a program up there.
In Exeter, New Hampshire?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So
SIG Academy is super. I've been up there.
Yeah, it is. A few
really?
Yeah.
So Richard's been up there. Of course, Richard and I used to live in the next town and never knew about, well, he knew about it. I never knew about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, there's a gun place over there. Since then, I've had my eyes open to firearms, and I'm going, gee whiz, was beside us all this time. So I got to get back up there and check out the SIG Academy, because I'm sure that I've been all around it.
Yeah, it's right down from the dragway. Right
Yeah.
down.
Oh, is it really? Oh, yeah. See, now, every weekend I
Like
was at New
literally
England
down the road.
Dragway. That was fun.
Yeah,
That was
a
fun.
couple of years ago, I took my daughter to the Whittington Center, and she lives in New York
Okay.
and was never really into shooting. I think I got her shooting once. By the
Nice.
time she finished, she wanted to be a sniper.
Awesome.
That
way
works.
way to go, Mom. Way to go, Mom. So, Barbara, I really think that, as I said earlier in the introduction, that we've got a couple of female, they're Bloomberg backed, but they're mostly women. And these women are Moms Demand Action. And then the Everytown USA is more of a, I guess they're hoping that it's a community action. But Moms Demand Action, the majority of the time, I really love to sit and talk to them. If there is a Moms Demand Action lady out there and you want to come on the show and let's just talk and have a nice, healthy conversation, because I'd really like to understand what, beyond just the tag words that everybody just keeps over and over again, let's kind of dig in and let's find out what is it that you want to accomplish, and is there only one way to accomplish it, and maybe we can come up with some neutral territory that we'd be able to make both sides and hopefully be able to protect our rights, because I have had women who were staunchly against firearms come into my store. We hear this a lot. I've been against firearms. I'm scared to death of firearms. But something happened last weekend, and I need a gun. And then the tears start rolling down her face. And I say, it's a good thing that you still have this opportunity available to you. Be very careful how you vote. Because if eventually we're going to lose the ability to defend ourselves. And women, we need to start standing up and going, wait a minute. You're approaching this in not the best way, and we need to kind of counteract, maybe through education, but counteract this anti-gun sentiment. So, Barbara, my question to you is, what could you do, or what already exists that we can get behind to help push back and and resist this this type of movement?
Of course, joining and supporting the NRA is huge. There is no other organization that's big enough to combat this.
Okay. And a lot of people think of the NRA as being this dark, well, it's because the NRA has been portrayed as this dark presence that doesn't care about people or children or anything other than guns. And basically the reality is the NRA is you, the NRA is me, it is people, it is our voice. And the NRA is doing what we want. So joining the NRA then would be a good step in supporting. What else can we do? So I'm already a member. So what else can I do beyond that?
Get more involved. Support your local Friends Committee, who hosts the banquet every year to raise money for the NRA Foundation and for all the shooting programs. Half of the money raised at those Friends banquets comes back into the state, mainly to support youth sporting groups, whether it's through the ROTC, JROTC.
It's a lot of letters.
I got you. I knew exactly what you meant, though.
Through Boy Scouts, any kind of shooting group. I know, different high school rifle teams where they're there. Half of that money comes back to the state to be spent right in the state and
Excellent.
in the communities with grants to nonprofits who support the shooting sports, which is huge. The rest of it comes back to the NRA to support their overall programs for shooting, all for 501c3 purposes.
Nice.
Okay. So this Friends banquet happens once a year, and it happens here. Does it happen in Brevard County, or is it just one per state?
There's all over the state. I bet you Florida probably has 30 Friends banquets throughout the year, and they're all over the country.
And how do we learn when this is coming up?
Well, you can go on friendsoftheNRA.org.
Okay, and does this Friends of the NRA do anything other than host this banquet and give back to shooting programs? Do they do anything that is grassroots, political, so that we can, because
Friends can't do political. They're a 501c3.
Okay.
Yeah. So our purpose is teaching freedom. That's what we're all about, is teaching freedom.
Okay.
Now the ILA and is the political arm.
So that's the Institute for Legislative Action.
Right.
Okay, ILA.
They are the political arm, and they are lobbying for us in Congress. They've got grassroots organizations throughout the country. Moving into colleges, there are definitely college programs.
Excellent.
I was recently at a Turning Point USA summit, and NRA College Programs Outreach had a booth at that, and of course Turning Point supports the Constitution and the Second Amendment strongly.
Excellent. Yeah, getting into the colleges is critical, because right now that's kind of like a growth area for this opposition. It seems like we got so much coming out of the colleges that's against the Second Amendment, against the Constitution, against anything that seems pro-American. It's like almost a breeding ground for it. So anything we can get that's pro-constitutional in there is definitely a plus, and to kind of push back on that, because it's been going on for a very long time. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's been going on for too many generations.
Yes.
So right now, the teachers are totally indoctrinating people, and when it boils down to it, it's really not about guns; it's about control.
It is.
And they know darn well that if they can take their guns, they take away our guns, which is their ultimate aim.
Absolutely.
That then they can take away the rest of their freedoms.
Yeah, it's
so
proven.
Yeah.
And I do have to say out there that it's not all teachers. I do believe that there is a higher education culture that is leaning in the direction you two were just talking. But I got to tell you something, and Richard can attest to this. We have teachers coming in to our store all the time, getting their concealed carry license, and they're like, don't let anybody know, don't take any pictures. We're like, we're good. Nobody can know this, but I really need to have my concealed carry permit. I need to know how to use a gun. So not all the teachers are lumped together. So we're going to be fair to those that are out there, and they're taking the precautions, and they're recognizing exactly what's going on. A lot of people don't recognize.
And unfortunately, they have to, or they feel the need to be quiet about their support
Absolutely.
of the Constitution and firearms and the Second Amendment because of the overwhelming opposition that they're faced and what might happen to them in their workplace.
So let me give you a little tip about this, because what we're learning is that you have one person who is very vocal, and people just don't want to be called out. People don't want to listen to a person who is yelling and shouting about, there's blood on your hands or whatever because you choose to defend yourself with a handgun or have a handgun and be prepared to defend yourself. And we've got these, so you've got 21 people in a room, and 19 of these people are going to sit quietly because they don't want to rile up number 21. And number 20 is kind of like, okay. But the problem is there is a much smaller number of people who are anti-gun than there are pro-gun, but they have the largest voices. And us conservatives, being conservative people, or even the Democrats, and they're out there, the Democrats who want to protect their Second Amendment rights, they're keeping their mouths shut because they just don't want to set off this anti-gun machine. And we really need to come up with ways in order to counteract that rather than just being quiet. And we really need to allow these people to know that they don't have the most popular solution. So if they're sitting there with 6 of their friends talking about this, that's only their 6 friends. But really, the culture of America and the rest of the American citizens are being realistic, and they really want they want to protect their firearm, their rights, and their access to firearms. So now that I said that,
I found that I made a promise to kind of come out of the closet.
Well, welcome, Barbara.
That I shoot and I enjoy it. I talk to other women, just as strangers, and you'd be amazed how many people, once you start the subject, will agree with you.
Yeah, and it's like a secret society.
It really is. and that's what's happened is the gun owners and the pro-gun people are actually being forced underground. So it doesn't mean that we're giving up our guns. We're just being forced underground. We're keeping quiet. And like you said, once you are brave enough to open up and say, you know what, yes, I do have a gun, all of a sudden you see the relief in the room, and these people go, oh, me too. And
we can't let Florida and any other state turn into Virginia.
Oh, boy, no.
Because we've got to make our voices heard. One of the things that I'm most proud of is I joined the DC Project.
Tell me about that. What is this?
Diana Muller started the DC Project. Well, this will be the 5th year. Mm-hmm. And it's about 50 women, one from every state, going to Washington once a year and going and talking to our representatives and senators and showing them the face of women who shoot, talking about our stories.
Wow.
Talking about our stories and being an advocate for the Second Amendment, being a source for them, whether they're pro or con, for good information, so they don't start talking about AR-16s.
Yeah, I know. The automatic guns that are really frightening, too.
Yes.
Yeah. Just kidding for those of you listening that don't know I'm kidding.
And so this will be the 5th year that they've gone there. Has started out where everybody was self-sufficient. It's non-affiliated to the NRA, to any other group.
Okay, good.
To any other group. It is supported by the founders, of course, of A Girl and a Gun. Diana and many of the other women involved with the DC Project are professional 3-gunners. But there's people like Nikki Gozer and some other women who have been victims of gun crime.
Nikki Gozer is somebody that all women need to hear her story. Everybody, even men, need to hear that story. Yes,
because it
she's
is frightening, and she is out
it
there
really is.
out there advocating against the gun-free zones.
Absolutely, because that's how she lost her husband.
Exactly.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know and you want to look in a little bit deeper, Nikki Gozer actually had a stalker, and it was either an ex-husband or an ex-boyfriend. I can't remember. Do you remember, Barbara?
No, it's just a stalker.
It was just a stalker.
Random guy who had seen her perform, I guess, and and she is
And
really
he
cute.
said, and she and her husband were in a gun-free zone, and she always carried her gun. She was in a gun-free zone because that was required of the establishment that she and her husband were at that night. And the stalker did not respect the gun-free zone request of the establishment and shot and killed her husband right in front of her. So that is just a gun-free zone going horribly wrong that we've been saying all along. Criminals aren't going to follow the gun-free zone. So we disarmed perfectly innocent people, perfectly law-abiding citizen, and it cost this man his life, this woman her husband, and she has turned into a sensational pro-gun advocate, and I'd really like to do a show on her. I don't know, maybe I can get a little clip or something from her so I can have it on the show once, because she's amazing.
Yeah, we can work on that. She's a friend of mine.
Nice.
Oh, Barbara! Outstanding. Good. Well, we'll be talking about after the show about that.
Yeah, but the DC project is now we're going into our 5th year going to Washington. We're now working on developing state groups to go and work, for instance, in Tallahassee, which is going to be really, really important because
Count me in, Barbara.
Yeah, we've got some trouble up there. So I can hook anybody up with our state chairman, who was not me.
Yet.
I didn't think assuming I'm going to get elected to the board, I didn't think, because the DC project is unaffiliated with the NRA, although of course the NRA supports them.
Of course.
We don't need a board member heading up the state.
Understood. Okay. So, I would. What would people do who are interested to going to the state? What would ladies do who are interested in going to the state of Florida? Because I'm really into that, and I would love an opportunity to go up there and speak on behalf of all of the women, including myself, who
we're
pro-gun.
just starting to get organized, and
Okay.
eventually the Moms Demand Action are organized into state groups and then into little regional groups.
They are.
And they have regular meetings. They have an agenda for the whole year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That they've got their whole year.
We
planned.
got to meet that. We got to come up with.
And so that's our challenge right now. Is combating that and making our voices heard, especially with our representatives at the state level and at a local level.
So this is exactly what I'm looking for, Barbara, and that is another grassroots organization of women who do know guns, who understand guns, and understand that Moms Demand Action is not speaking on behalf of all of us. However, they are organized, they are well-funded, and they are gaining ground because they are constantly moving toward their goal. And we need to have our goal, and we need to be working just as hard. So right now they've got a good head start on us. So we need to get some women moving, get some women involved. Tell me what I need to do after the show. I really want to get involved in this, Barbara.
It's a great project, DC project.
Excellent. Okay, so we're going to pause for a quick break here. And we will be back shortly, and we're going to talk some more about what we can do to help Barbara and what we can do to support these programs. U.S. Law Shield is a legal defense membership program, the largest, most comprehensive coverage to protect your Second Amendment rights. Whether you use a gun or not, any legal weapon is covered. For $10.95 a month, all your attorney's fees are covered. There are no caps, no limits, no retainer, and U.S. Law Shield is not a reimbursement plan. U.S. Law Shield covers criminal and civil legal defense 24/7, 365 days a year, emergency attorney answered hotline. We at Femme, Fatale Arms have partnered with U.S.
Hey, this is Trisha Schmalhofer, hostess of BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, and Mystics. This podcast is all about seeking knowledge, talking to experts, changing perspectives, channeling wisdom, and shifting consciousness. Listen as we invite a different badass guest each time from a variety of career fields who are living their purpose, spreading light, giving strength and hope, and changing lives every day. We stream live on Facebook, so like our page, interact with us, and watch the behind-the-scenes action. Find BAM, Badasses, Alchemists, and Mystics on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts under Space Coast Podcast Network. BAM!
Hello and welcome back. We are here with Barbara Rumple, candidate for the NRA Board of Directors. And Barbara, tell us how we can support you in your running for the board. How can we vote for you? How can we let people know, hey, we support Barbara Rumple and the things that she's doing?
Well, if you're a lifetime member or have been a member for at least 5 consecutive years, in your magazine that you have right now on your counter, there is a ballot. So please vote for me and send it in. It's amazing how few eligible members actually vote.
So, as with anything else, right?
Yes, and it's worse than...
Come on, conservatives. We need to have a voice here.
And the ballot can be a little bit overwhelming, but you don't have to vote for every available seat. Okay, just vote for the people that you like, the people you know. I voted for 4.
Okay.
So it's called bullet voting.
Bullet voting. Okay. And remember, it's Barbara Rumple. So we need to check off that box next to her name. We need to get her on the board. We need her supporting us, the Seacoast, because she lives right here in Brevard County.
And the 3 other women on the ballot. There's only 4 women on the ballot right now.
Do you know their names?
I
right
do.
Off the top
Judy White from Arizona has been running our auction at the Women's Leadership Forum luncheon at the annual meetings for years. She's very active in conservative politics in Arizona, and she's great.
Okay.
Linda Walker is a current board member from Ohio, very active in the shooting sports, and she deserves being reelected, as well as Patricia Clark.
Okay.
who is a long distance shooter and very, very active in the shooting sports.
Excellent. And we need to get more women, a little more of the voice of women on there. We tend to approach the same issues, but from a different angle, and sometimes our way might be a little bit better, guys. Lots of times our ideas are a little bit better.
comment.
But anyway, yeah. But anyway, I think that the number of women in the shooting sports and female members of the NRA definitely need to have a voice on the board. And I really think that getting more women on the board is definitely the right way to go. Richard, you had some questions
Yes.
Of Barbara and the
Institute for Legislative Action. I believe it's called ILA. I think it's important that people understand what that is and what they do and more about it. Because one of the things we're up against with this whole fight for the Second Amendment is huge forces out there, huge organizations, lots of funding being thrown all over the place, funding being dropped into, for instance, Florida Senate President's campaign budget. We have money being
Go
dropped.
figure.
Yeah.
I'll call it out, Galvano. We all know it. We all went through it. So these politicians are getting lots of funding. These organizations are getting lots of funding and support. And there's very few organizations out there who have the capability to even counter that or begin to counter that. And I think the ILA might be one of them, but I think not enough people are aware of it and what they can do to support them.
Well, every town has said that they're going to put $60 million into defeating the gun lobby. Well, guys, we are the gun lobby. It's
right.
Exactly.
It's you
It's
and me.
the individuals. Yes.
It's you and me and every single one of us. And we all need to do what we can to support the NRA, ILA, to be our voice in supporting our rights.
Right, and we've got, 400 million plus firearms out there, and gun owners are a huge member of the population, but I don't think they're getting involved as much as they could. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this.
The bulk of gun owners, like the NRA, they think they belong to the NRA because once upon a time they sent their $35 in and never did it again.
Right.
So, join the NRA, support them as much as you can, whether it's your $35 to join or whether it's hundreds or thousands. But they,
You know what I think? I think that you should join the NRA. Make sure that you have a valid membership. Okay, check your card. Oh, did you expire? So renew your membership if you've expired. And then I think that you should also donate $1 for every gun you own to the NRA.
I like that.
If we've got $60 million being spent out there and you're reading that Bloomberg is backing Anytown USA with $60 million and that bothers you and you're not happy about that, then you need to reach into your wallet. And there's enough of us that it doesn't have to be very deep. We don't have to reach into our wallets very deep. And we can throw a couple bucks out there. If everybody just throws a couple bucks out there, we're definitely going to be able to compete with one man, Bloomberg's movement, versus the rest of the United States of America. People, we need to start pushing back. There's enough of us. We're not victims unless we allow ourselves to be victims.
Because it truly, with him, is about control.
It is.
It is about control. Have been in New York when he was mayor. He outlawed big gulp sodas. He
Didn't he want to put a mosque up next to the 9/11 site at one point?
yeah, there was that.
Yep.
There was
Give
that.
me a break.
There was forcing every single restaurant to put calorie counts and salt and sugar counts on their menu. He was in maternity wards. He was hiding formulas that you couldn't get formula. You had to nurse unless you actually had to ask for a formula.
So this man has some serious control issues.
You think?
And wow, I'm going to tell you how you need to live your life. Yeah, that's really American. Okay, America, wake up, because this man has enough money to be able to donate to your legislator and whisper in his ear. And I don't like it.
Yep. He bought Virginia.
Yeah.
And the problem
Scary.
one of the problems with Virginia was that there were so many districts where the Democrats had nobody opposing them from the Republican Party. So it wasn't just a matter of getting out and voting. It was nobody was running. No,
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so
Yeah.
the lesson there is we need to get involved.
Mhm.
We can't, I mean, conservatives as a whole sit back and live their lives.
Right.
Work their jobs, love their family, go to church, go to the range,
Yeah.
and do it
Yeah.
quietly. But it's really time for us to make our voices heard.
Yeah,
We're gonna lose it.
our lifestyle's under attack.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say Virginia, with Bloomberg being involved in Virginia, he's recently set up an office in Orlando now. So he's
Yeah, I
definitely
saw his
making
bus.
he's making his presence known down here, both through a presence and through his impact on our politicians as well. So that's pretty scary in itself.
Very, very much so. He is going to be impacting all of the Super Tuesday primaries.
Yep. Yeah, and it's coming fast, and he's got the funding, and he's making his presence known in a huge way. I mean, if you just look at our legislature now and the bills that are out there that are anti-gun or gun control bills, we're looking at about 36 of them that are sitting out there in the legislature. And we've got 5 pro-gun bills. One's been dismissed. One's got a co-sponsor, but it's weak, and the other one doesn't even have any companion bills. So we're getting nowhere on the pro-gun side, but they've all got some momentum on the anti-gun side. And it's because of this push from these people and the funding that they're putting forward. When you have a Republican committee pushing gun control laws, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And we need to get people into these seats, into the House and into the Senate, who want to protect the Constitution.
Yes.
Because it's not just gun control and gun laws, it's our Constitution that's under attack. And people need to start waking up to that fact. And the fact that our representatives in Tallahassee are not protecting our Second Amendment, they took an oath to do that. We need to start changing people out. And if you're a Republican who's out there and you're promoting these anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment legislation, I want to put you on notice, because I want people to start paying attention. And if you've got a Republican who is passing anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment legislation, then you need to vote them out. We need another Republican to stand up to say, I'm going to protect the Constitution. I will run against the incumbent, and we need to vote that next person in, because we're having some serious problems here with protecting our rights and our country as a whole.
And it's not even, well, it is to some degree, but it's not 100% party line oriented.
That's correct.
Because we do have some people on the Democratic side also who are pro-gun. And at this point, regardless of party, I'd be willing to support somebody pro-gun over a party line.
You know, I think they're more pro-America.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And it's come into a divide, and I really think that's what's happening is I don't think there was always as hard a line between the Democrats and the Republicans. And that divide between us keeps getting wider and wider. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel American. We should be Americans first, then we should be Democrats, Republicans, or independents. We should not be our party first and then American last. We've got to begin to support America and stand behind supporting America.
I really don't understand this drive towards socialism that everybody seems to want, when nowhere, absolutely nowhere, has it worked.
No, there
I
isn't
hear
one
you.
example, but there's so many examples of people suffering as a result of it. So why do they think this is going to be different?
Because they haven't been educated. We have. We understand. We can recognize what's happening. We see that light at the end of the tunnel is a train. Everybody else says, oh, no, that's the promised land. It's not. And we've got all of these college students who are in trouble with their college loans. I get it. Having forgiveness, I don't think, is the answer. How about an interest-free college loan? So if you've got a government or a federally funded loan, why don't you just forgive the interest so that when these people are paying their loans, it goes right to paying back their education? The government doesn't need to be making any money off of interest of educational loans. But, that is a compromise as far as I'm concerned. But there's just some crazy stuff going on, and our country is beginning to divide, and as it divides, we are easier to conquer.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of the whole formula that's been done throughout history over and over and over again in countries all around the world. You got the divisiveness, you got the control of education, control of media, disarm the people. It's happened over and over. It's like a cookbook, and we're falling right into it, and people are pushing in that direction again, not even understanding the history. Well, the reason they don't is because we don't teach it anymore. People don't understand their history. They don't understand the history of this country or the world and what happens when these events start to take place and start to form. So the train's coming down the tracks, but it's not the promised land. It's going to the camp like it did in the past.
That's frightening and true.
Okay. Boy, that got me worked up. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. And it's just like, well, he summed that right up. Okay, where do we go from here?
Well, you want me to hit some of the bills that are going on?
Why don't we do that? Let's hit some bills, and then we'll wrap things up.
Yeah, we alluded to the fact that there's 36 bills out there that are gun control bills and only like 5 positive ones. So some of them have gotten movement since the last podcast, and some of them sitting stagnant, which is really good in most cases. But the ones that have gotten movement, we do have one pro-gun bill. It's HB 183, which, interesting enough, this is the only pro-gun bill that has a companion bill. And it was put out by the House.
It's a companion in the Senate, correct?
It's a companion in the Senate.
Because our House is pretty
We
pro-gun.
don't have one senator who's willing to back any of the other bills or to put out a companion bill on any of these. But this one interesting enough, enables elected officials to conceal carry in their own meetings. It don't enable us. It enables the elected officials to. So this one's got legs. It's
Oh.
passed 3 committees. It's on the House calendar. It's the furthest bill so far, and it's the politicians taking care of themselves bill, I call it. So
It certainly is, because what about the rest of us sitting in the audience at this community meeting? And if they need a gun, then why in the world can't I have a gun? Because my life is just as valuable as theirs.
absolutely. But we also have constitutional carry, campus carry, reverse of Parkland legislation. Those are all sitting out there. No companion bills. Not one senator will touch them. Nobody's pushing them, and they're just sitting in committee. They were assigned to the Judiciary Committee on January 14th. No movement since. No companion bills. They can't go anywhere without it.
So we need to be working on next session, and we need to be pushing our
We need to
our
hound
senators.
our senators to come up
Yes.
with something.
Our senators need to start waking up. We need to hold their feet to the fire, and we need to start getting them supporting some of these bills that are coming out of the House, because we really have some issues. And I really think that they need to understand that they are not going to be supported by us in the next election if they are not supporting us as well as the Constitution. And it just, I do not like the direction that Florida is going right now.
No, and there's another one we need to be aware of, and that's SB 7028, which is kind of a sneaky bill, to be honest with you. It's already passed infrastructure and security, and it's in judiciary and appropriations right now. This one starts off kind of like, it blinds you a little bit, because it starts off talking about paramedics and EMTs having to disclose a threat if there's a threat that they're aware of, which everybody's willing to get on board with. The problem is, once you get to about a paragraph and a half of that, you get down into a second component of this bill, which is totally unrelated but still within the same bill, that kind of shuts down private sales of firearms. It requires a detailed ATF form, a signed affidavit, waiting periods, and background checks from private citizens before they can sell a gun, and if you don't follow these steps, there are criminal penalties and jail time involved.
So there's just enough details there that would intimidate the average law-abiding citizen, and it would intimidate them enough that, you know what, I'm not going to do a private sale because I'm scared something's going to go wrong.
Yeah, it's impossible for them to do it.
And right now, people need to know that it is legal to have to have a private sale of a firearm to another individual. There is no registration of firearms in Florida. If you bought a gun from a gun store and you filled out a paper form or you did it on the computer, that's only for your background check. That's a federal form. That has nothing to do with registering your gun. If your gun is, if you don't want it anymore, or somebody else has a nice gun and yours doesn't feel right, you can trade it, you can sell it. And if you want to, just a little extra step, do it like you would do selling a used car. You don't have to go through a dealership to sell a used car. You don't have to go through a dealer, an FFL, and yeah, I'm an FFL. You don't have to go through an FFL to sell a gun to another person. What you got to do, write down the serial number. On this date, I sold Mary Jones this gun, serial number, ... Both of you guys sign that sheet of paper, you both get a copy of it, and now you're both covered. If that gun was involved in something bad before you acquired it, you have a date right there. Hey, I'm scot-free. I didn't own this gun till this date. Or if something happens to that gun after you sell it, again, I've got this date, she signed it, this is where the gun went. All right? And that's what you can do. You should be allowed to do that. And I think you'd be outraged if you weren't allowed to sell your used car and you had to go through a car dealership, and you should be outraged you have to do the same thing with a gun.
Well, this bill's got legs. It's already in its 4th committee, so after
And it's got
passes-
backing too
Yeah,
now, right?
yeah, so
Senate
this-
yeah.
absolutely. It's Senate and House.
It's not going to prevent, I don't think, one single unnecessary.
It's
No.
not.
It's
It's not aimed at preventing anything, because
None of these are.
No.
None of these are going to make a difference, because a criminal's going to get it done and
Right.
do what he needs to do. If he doesn't get a gun, he's going to get a knife. He's going to drive his car. When people want to kill people, they find a way. It's not about whether the law says they can legally do something, because they're not doing something legal to begin with. They could care less. They're messed up.
Yeah, it's only to curb law-abiding people
Yep.
who are intimidated by the law. I don't want to do the wrong thing. I want to do the right thing. And that turns out to be probably our Achilles tendon, is being afraid of doing the wrong thing. So we end up limiting our own rights and restricting ourselves just because we want to avoid something that we may do accidentally wrong.
Yeah, and the scariest thing about the universal background checks is that the only way to enforce it is through registration.
Yes.
That's correct.
And there's 2 bills on here that are trying to put a registration in place in Florida. And that's the most dangerous thing you can have.
Because once they know who's got the guns, they know where to come and get them.
Yep. They knock on your door and they go, "Oh, excuse me, but we want all your guns." No, you just handed me 3, and right here on this registration form, it says you have 5. Right? Oh, yeah, you didn't privately sell that gun, and that's why you don't have it, because we got rid of that in 2020.
Yeah, and
you're
go
not
into
allowed
jail.
to privately sell a gun, so I know you've got that gun in your house somewhere. We're going to go in and do a search. So, again, people pay attention to what's happening, because this is not going in a good direction, and it is going to only get worse.
And again, the registration bills, SB 1300 and SB 1208, ones to watch, because if that goes through, it doesn't matter whether you vote for things later on or not. If somebody puts the right bank account to a right level, some of these things are going to pass, and if there's a registration, you're going to be on it. So there's no way around it. So you got to keep track of this, and our biggest problem right now is the Senate. The House tends to be pro-gun. They're the only ones that put out any bills that are in favor of guns, but the senators won't touch them. And that's where Bloomberg's been focusing, is on the Senate.
And it's frightening to know that there is only one man has this kind of control over our entire state, and that we have individuals in the Senate who will allow themselves to be controlled by donations and not by the will of the people. And I find that very frightening, and I really think that the people need to take back control. As you've heard all over the place, we need to take back control, and we need to start voting for people who are going to protect our Second Amendment rights, protect our Constitution, and protect all of the residents in the state of Florida.
So we're out of time.
We're out of time. Barbara, is there anything that you'd like to add? Because it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. You've shared so much information, and I'm just so happy that you're here. Is there anything that you'd like to add in closing?
Well, I would like the ladies to really take a good look at the NRA, join the NRA, and get involved in the women's programs, because we need to prove that the NRA is not just an old boys club.
Excellent. And actually, you can join the NRA at Femme Fatale Arms, and we also give you a discount in your joining fee, as well as we give you a $10 gift certificate to anything in the store. So that's probably the best place to join the NRA. So come to Femme Fatale Arms at 4270 Minton Road in Palm Bay, Florida, and we will be more than happy to get you signed up, get you moving in protecting your own Second Amendment rights. Or you can visit our website at ladiesgunstore.com. And we are Femme Fatale Arms. So thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you.
And Richard. And we are going to close up today with an ad from our sponsor. And, of course, Femme Fatale Arms is also a sponsor of the Ladies Gun Show. Femme Fatale Arms training is designed to take you from zero to badass, with full curriculum of classes that starts off with the basics and develops your skills and techniques in a very prescribed manner that will build your confidence and capabilities to defend yourself should you ever need to. Our instructors are highly experienced with backgrounds in law enforcement and the military, but have a non-intimidating support approach. So Femme Fatale Arms thanks you. You have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.